It's called The View?
It's called The View. It's not called The Facts.
Yeah, but
It's
isn't it interesting that it's called, I mean, I don't think they meant this when Barbara Walters invented it a long time ago, but it's The View.
Well,
that's the problem in America.
But
there is one view,
right, and
one
that's clearly
true opinion, and everybody else can go sit in the corner.
Sure. Here's a rewritten version that keeps the spirit and tone of your original message, but polishes it for clarity and impact. It's called The View, not The Facts, and that name feels a little ironic, doesn't it? I doubt Barbara Walters intended it this way when she created the show, but still, The View. That's the problem in America right now. There's only one acceptable view, one opinion, and anyone who disagrees is told to sit down and stay quiet. Case in point, Sunny Hostin just got tag team live on air, and this wasn't your standard civil panel discussion. Nope, this was a verbal beatdown. Her opponents? None other than Bill Maher and Megyn Kelly. It was so intense, someone should probably check if the Geneva Convention applies to talk shows. 1 minute. Sun is calmly sipping her tea like she owns a stage. The next? Wham! Face buried in her cue cards, like she just got served an unexpected eviction notice on live television. Let me know if you wanted to adjust it for a different tone. Sharper, funnier, more serious, etc.
They're disgusting. She's Anna Navarro in your wildest imagination. You could never solo host a show. You will only ever make it as part of an ensemble, and you could never hope to achieve the success that Tucker Carlson has. So you can sit in your little cheap seats all day long and enjoy your little negative henpecking, but your careers are going nowhere, and Tucker is about to dominate in whatever space he goes.
Absolutely. Here's a polished rewrite with that vivid, punchy vibe you gave me. So what kicked this all off? Picture Showdown, so wild it made Bravo reality shows look like Sunday school. Bill Maher brought his trademark sharp-edged sarcasm, the kind only he can deliver, while Megyn Kelly slid in cool and precise, landing hits like a surgeon with a grudge together. They turned Sunny's comfy little segment into a full-on demolition zone. This wasn't a debate, it was an academic back-alley brawl, and poor Sunny? She showed up armed with a glitter pen while they rolled in like emotional tanks packed with receipts. That soapbox she loves? Shakier than a dollar store IKEA chair in the middle of an earthquake when the dust settled. She just sat there blinking, like her inbox had just hit her with a final boss fight named Overdue Wi-Fi Bill. Want it more casual or even more dramatic? Just say the word.
Talk about Whoopi Goldberg because I got so many texts this week because she attacked me the week before.
Sure.
So she was, everybody was like, oh, Bill, I get you're enjoying the karma. First of all, I'm going to talk about this at the end of my show next week, teaser. But there is no thing as karma, okay? Get over that. Whoopi attacks me on a regular basis. She says stupid shit on a regular basis. It just happened.
Got it. Here's a tighter, punchier rewrite of that with the same sharp edge. Let's talk about Sunny Hostin's signature move, wielding that law degree like it's a designer handbag with a hidden blade. She treats her resume like a golden ticket that automatically wins every argument. At this point, former federal prosecutor might as well be stamped across her forehead in glittery bubble letters that she's always the first to drop the lawyer card like it's some cheat code. And the moment you hear it, you know exactly what's coming. Something totally off base, painfully obvious, or so soaked in smugness it could peel paint. Somehow, she nails all three every single time that it's like watching a TED Talk set in a courtroom. With no evidence, just endless moral grandstanding topped off with that signature smirk.no mat to the topic, TikTok trends, viral memes, even Mayo shell placement. Sunny will twist it into a lecture on systemic injustice. A cat video? That's imperialism. A cooking tip? Clearly culinary oppression, though she's basically the live-action version of outrage Twitter, loud, overly theatrical, and expertly committed to missing the point on purpose. Want it sharper, funnier, or more...
Hot mess that they air in the mornings called The View had to issue not one, not two, not three, but 4 corrections, legal corrections, 4 legal notes. We only have 3 of them on camera. Not to mention what they did at that debate, where once again, they tried to fact check only one side, and then when their fact checks got fact checked, they cowered. They cowered and...
Whole thing. Here's a rewritten version with the same sharp tone and flow. And here's the kicker. Even Whoopi looked like she was silently praying for a commercial break. That iconic side-eye said it all. You could practically hear her thinking, not this circus again, while Sunny turned a simple salad recipe into a full-blown civil rights case. She didn't just lose a debate. She got steamrolled like philosophical roadkill in a hit-and-run of hard truths. And the only thing she limped away with was that signature scowl that screams, "I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed in the entire planet." Here's the thing. Having bold opinions is one thing, but Sunny treats every segment like a solo act, half courtroom drama, half emotional TED Talk meltdown. She's not here for dialogue. She's preaching from Mount Condescension like it's Judgment Day and we all failed the pop quiz. But here's a twist: Bill Maher and Megyn Kelly don't do theater. No applause cues, no dramatic lighting. Just cold facts, razor-sharp wit, and precision takedowns to IN seconds. Sunny's confident monologue turned into a clumsy improved skit. No punchline, no standing ovation, just dead air and second-hand embarrassment. One at punchier or maybe with a bit more humor.
Any term you want.
Okay.
Because maybe that is a word that's triggering, and so let's not use that word. I don't know, want to call it the super far left, but don't tell me the left
Or maybe the super far right.
Well, he's
Well,
talking about the left. Well, then
Okay,
I'm woke.
but we talked about that. I mean, I think we agree about the danger of the super far right, and I can't say it enough. I think they're the bigger threat. But don't tell me that the left hasn't changed. I mean, I'm old enough to remember when it was the conservatives who hated the
Yeah.
Polished, punchy rewrite with that sharp vibe you want. Instead of pivoting, Sunny hit the gas, talking louder, flailing harder, like sheer volume could cover up the holes in her logic. But Bill Maher sat there ice cold, like a tenure professor skimming a freshman essay titled How I'm Always Right. He didn't even need to cut in. Her argument collapsed on its own, folding faster than a clearance rack beach chair. Every buzzword she threw just dug the pit deeper. This wasn't a debate anymore. It was a live spiral, punctuated by dramatic gasps and flailing logic. By the end, Sunny wasn't arguing. She was hosting a solo pity parade, complete with fireworks of indignation and an RSVP list that included exactly no one. Then came Megyn Kelly, calm, crisp, and sharper than a switchblade wrapped in cashmere. No yelling, no drama, just a quiet, calculated takedown. She didn't throw shade. She performed a dissection. Clean, clinical, brutal. One slice at a time, she peeled back Sunny's glossy performance like cheap laminate on a knockoff bag, and underneath, nothing but echo chamber air and microwave talking points. Here's the thing. Sunny's whole act runs on unchecked monologues. She's not built for back and forths. It's always the same. Accuse, overact, moralize, repeat. But when someone like Megyn strolls in with a single pin of truth and pops that bloated balloon of righteousness, all that's left is a sad hiss of deflation. One at Titor with more flair.
Whoopi Goldberg getting yanked from The View right after she attacked me on The View is karma. There's no such thing as karma. Sorry. Sorry, but life is random. The only word to describe it when a big game hunter gets trampled by an elephant and then eaten by lions is hilarious.
Here's a revamped, punchy version of that for you, Boom. Total collapse. Instant and brutal. This wasn't a stumble. It was an ideological faceplant in high def. Her moral high horse kicked her off mid-sentence. And the landing? Ugly. Because when your whole stance is propped up by nothing but a superiority complex and drama, even the softest tap of truth hits like a wrecking ball. Megyn didn't need volume, just facts. One clear point, and Sunny's whole persona crumbled like a dollar store prop in a community theater courtroom scene. And let's be real, Megyn Kelly's very presence seems to set off Sunny's internal alarm system. The moment her name drops, Sunny's pitch goes supersonic, like facts are some kind of airborne toxin. It's wild. Megyn's offense? Simply stringing together logical, fact-based sentences on The View. That kind of clarity? Basically forbidden sorcery in that studio. On The View. If you show up with stats instead of sob stories, logic instead of theatrics, and don't flip your hair while sighing dramatically, you become a threat to the entire emotional ecosystem. And Megyn Kelly? She's the apex predator. This all blew up during a segment about world superpowers. That's where it started. Sunny dove in with her usual riff on patriotism, America, and Black America, classic Sunny mode, moral posturing, righteous tone, the whole playbook. Alyssa Farah kicked off as a token conservative voice. Then boom, Sunny jumped in, and the spiral began. Wanted tighter, wittier, or more dramatic?
America is not the #1 global power. It's not going to be Denmark. It's going to be communist China, a country that right now the government is imprisoning Uyghur Muslims in concentration camps. It is a deeply racist government. It's a human rights violating government. It is a government that if they are the leader of the free world, we are not a free world the way that we are right now.
The notion of patriotism and the notion of America and the American flag has been co-opted by the right as if they are true patriots. But when I listen to Christopher Wray, the head of the FBI, he said white supremacy is the biggest.
Here's a cleaned-up, punchy rewrite that keeps the vibe sharp and vivid, while Sun is over there clutching her pearls about the latest democracy-ending disaster sponsored by Vague Vibes and whatever dramatic MSNBC segment was trending that morning. Megyn just sits back, calm and armed with reason that it's honestly offensive. She cites sources, drops stats, talks like someone who graduated middle school without needing a group hug. Terrifying, right? A full-blown horror show for a panel that treats calm logic like a biohazard. Meanwhile, Sunny's debate kit looks like she borrowed it from the high school drama department. Smoke bombs of emotion, monologues soaked in melodrama, and the occasional shoulder shimmy that's supposed to represent 400 years of oppression. Theatrics? Overflowing. Actual arguments? Not so much. Then comes Megyn, dropping cold, crisp, fact-check missiles right into the heart of Sunny's outrage opera. Precision strikes one after another, slicing through the noise like a surgeon with a spreadsheet that's like watching someone show up to a chess match with a glitter-splattered coloring book, then lose their mind because their unicorn bishop isn't regulation. Every time Megyn hits her with data, logic, or a well-documented fact, you can see Sunny glitch in real time. Eyes go wide, voice gets louder, but the playback never changes. Retreat into the echo chamber of indignation and pray the audience miss a malfunction that it's like watching someone argue that 2 + 2 = systemic injustice, and then cry foul when someone pulls out a calculator.at this point. You're just waiting for Sunny to yell, "How dare you bring math into my feelings?" Because apparently, in that studio, logic is the ultimate hate crime. Want it more casual, sharper, or with more humor?
Atrocity. It was one of the worst moments in American history. And when you think about the worst moments in American history, like World War II, things that happened, like the whole chattel slavery.
Yeah, the January 6th is right up there next to the Holocaust and slavery.
Sharper, punchy rewrite of that for you. And don't even get me started on Sunny's one-woman war against comedy. For someone who never misses a chance to flex her law and society credentials, she treats a punchline like it's grounds for prosecution. Sarcasm, hate speech, satire, emotional assault. She acts like laughter itself is some kind of constitutional threat. It's 2025, and Sunny still hasn't quite gotten the memo that comedians joke. That's literally the job. Expecting Bill Maher not to roast public figures is like walking into a bakery and being outraged they're selling bread. But every time Mayer so much as smirks, Sunny glitches like he just read her 8th grade diary out loud, complete with moody justice poems and glittery hearts around her own name. The gasp, the pearl clutch, it's pure reflex. She treats being offended like a power move, as if declaring asterisk, "I'm hurt," asterisk automatically shuts down the room. Here's a legal update. Sunny disliking a joke doesn't make it illegal. But the real fiesta, the resistance to laughter itself. Want it funnier, more biting, or more...
Just the term woke has been, in my view, co-opted by the right and weaponized and weaponized. And so I was surprised to hear you use the term because historically, as you know, because I think you're quite brilliant, that woke is a word used by the Black community to note that we must be aware of social injustices.
But words
and so
migrate.
why is that a bad thing?
It's not a bad thing, and originally that was absolutely a great thing. Alert to injustice. Who's not for that? But words do...
Absolutely. Here's a sharper, cleaner rewrite that keeps all the bite, clarity, and energy of the original. Sunny Hostin's painfully cringy attempt to out-intellectual Bill Maher and Megyn Kelly on live TV felt like watching someone throw historical quotes into a blender, hit puree, and fling the results across the stage hoping something, anything, resembled an argument. She was hurling references with the precision of a toddler launching spaghetti at a wall, wild, messy, and with absolutely no aim. Legal phrases, half-baked and tossed like grenade pins already pulled, words flying, coherence missing. It didn't sound insightful. It sounded like she rage-scrolled Wikipedia 5 minutes before airtime and called it prepped that if this had been a courtroom, the stenographer would have quit halfway through, leaving behind a post-it that read, "Incoherent, SOS, send snacks." You could practically hear them applying for emotional hazard pay. Meanwhile, Bill Maher sat stone-faced and utterly unbothered, like he was relaxing in a cryo chamber. Her frantic monologue bounced off him like Nerf darts against a brick wall. This man's been dodging media landmines since AOL dial-up. His internal monologue probably rolled its eyes and sighed, "Here we go again." And every time Sunny cranked up her courtroom theatrics, Oscar hopeful energy and all, you just knew she envisioned the clip going viral. You could almost hear the imaginary TikToks forming. Slay Queen obliterates with facts and passion. Meanwhile, Mayer had already mentally clocked out, sipping Invisible Mellow and calculating he could beat LA traffic. Then came Megan. No raised voice, no drama, just cool, surgical rebuttals. Each line cut through Sunny's overacted performance like a scalpel through soft butter. With a single sentence, Megan dismantled the entire speech Sunny probably rehearsed in the bathroom mirror that morning. Sunny just stood there, looking like she was being clinically taken apart by someone who'd already filed her credibility under recyclables. This wasn't a debate. It was an exorcism. And Megyn Kelly? She was the ice-cold cleric armed with logic and zero tolerance for nonsense, while Sunny flailed, still trying to sell the crowd on the idea that objective reality is just another form of bias. Want to punch it up even further or add a specific tone, snarkier, more formal, etc.?
Like there, but for Republicans, it was good imagery.
Really?
One day later, yes.
And I'm asking that because I was so offended because you know who showed up, and he was, whether he was asked or not. This
So he
is a
was
man
invited.
who didn't care what happened to the officers on January 6th.
She promotes Joe Biden and Kamala Harris every day on that show. Trump wasn't supportive enough of the cops who were, yes, in danger on J 6th. How does that explain their behavior on a daily basis?
Absolutely. Here's a polished, sharp, and engaging rewrite that keeps your voice while tightening up the structure and flow. But let's talk about the real train wreck here. Sunny Hostin's unshakable belief that her outrage is sacred. She steps onto that set like her opinions are scripture, etched in stone, delivered from the mountaintop, and immune to question. And if you dare challenge her, buckle up. You're getting dragged, scolded, and guilt, all before the next commercial break for joint supplements and oat milk lattes. That she's not there for conversation. She's there to perform. Every segment turns into a courtroom drama where she plays judge, jury, prosecutor, and her own hype squad. The audience, they are just there to clap on cue before the sponsor logos roll in. And honestly, if she brought something fresh or insightful to the table, maybe the theatrics would be forgivable. But Sunny's version of truth is just a swirl of condescension, cherry-picked stats, and guilt-soaked anecdotes designed to make you question whether having your own opinion is some kind of moral crime. That she'll spend 10 minutes dissecting inequality in America, then cite a barista misspelling her name as Exhibit A. By the end, you're not enlightened. You're exhausted and vaguely worried that ordering a muffin might have been a microaggression. And here's a kicker. Sunny's all about empowering women, until one of them pushes back. Then it's claws out. Sisterhood? Gone. Unity? Vanished. That feminist conveyor speech? Left backstage in her dressing room with the cue cards and performative empathy. Let me know if you want to amp it up further or add a different tone. More satire, more formal, more sarcastic, etc.
Called white Republican women cockroach.
Actually, I didn't. And
You said they're acting like cockroaches.
I used it in a similar. Let me answer that.
Okay.
I used it metaphor.
Here's what I'm going to ask you all to do. Here's what I'm going to ask you to do.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm going to ask you to tone it down a bit because I can't hear anything.
Let
No
me
one can hear
respond.
what's being
But she
said.
just said I
Do you
called white women
understand why
roaches.
people-
All right, we're
because
going to
I
go to
didn't.
break. We're going to
Absolutely. Here's a tight, punchy rewrite that keeps the energy, sharp humor, and dramatic contrast intact. And just like that, Sisterhood flew out the window and turned into open combat. The moment Megyn Kelly deigned to suggest that not every disagreement is rooted in racism or sexism, Sunny looked ready to yank Megyn's woman card and shred it live on air. Because apparently, nothing says female empowerment like dictating which women are allowed to think for themselves. But the real meltdown moment, that came when Sunny realized the ground under her argument was crumbling fast. So she hit the emergency eject button, Classic move, pivoting straight into victim mode. Logic? Gone. Facts? Running on fumes. Time to cue the emotion. Suddenly, it wasn't a debate. It was an existential assault. An attack on her identity, her worldview, her morning coffee, and whatever remained of her dignity. In Sunny's universe, disagree with her isn't just incorrect, it's dangerous. Dangerous to democracy, small animals, and probably brunch. Her dramatic range? Honestly, Academy Award worthy. Meanwhile, Bill Maher stayed ice cold. No spiral, no theatrics, just calmly pointing out how absurd it all was. As Sunny scrambled to reclaim the moral high ground, Maher dropped one-liners like tactical nukes. Truth bombs so clean they left her mumbling into the MIC like someone trying to force restart a worldview that just blew screen on national television. Want a version that leans more comedic, more brutal, or with a different tone in time.